let's go ahead and get loaded in as the players are dropping off the battle bus right now. And there you go. Okay, this is actually going to favor teams like Fluger, like Cease and Blake. They're going to go ahead and get to their drop relatively early, giving them a little bit more time to loot up.
And that's what we're looking for, right? These teams like Fluger and Opt, these split drops, the faster they're able to get on the ground, the faster they're able to loot on up and then continue to look for these early to mid-game eliminations. Because we're used to seeing, especially here in day number 2, these games being drawn out for a long period of time before we see the action in those 7th, 8th zones. But if you can get a couple elims before you get to that point, make sure you have every bit of utility that you would like to have. It's the most ideal situation. But Zemi and Pen now gliding up and over. Bevies and Pablo Wingu finding some success here. Contestation off spawn, taking out Yamzo and Paper.
This is a turn here for them. Remember, in day number 1, Pablo Wingu and Bevies ended in the bottom 5, I believe, of the leaderboard, and they were really struggling off spawn there in day 1. It looks like that's no longer the case here as they take out Yamzo and Paper. So a bit of a turn here for them, and that's going to be a quick few eliminations. Remember here, folks, the first few games we watched today, there really weren't any elims. The games were very, very slow to start, and it was because these players are all just trying to survive to the end game, but looks like the confidence level is raising for some as eliminations are starting to drop into the fold.
Malibuca, Thomas HG, I like that we get a look at their off spawn here. They've been landing here for all of the qualifiers and dream hacks. And again in the finals, still sticking to their guns and what they know best. It's a great spot, find some high-level loot very quickly. On top of that, you have the slurp truck and vehicles, so you see a lot of the times this exact same rotation coming out from them. They like to quick push over towards the tower because there is a vault located just beneath, so if they're able to either take a fight with them or look for a third party, it's usually a good option. You can see them now taking some shots back and forth. Pablo Wingu, the one to pop the tire on the vehicle, so it looks like they're just going to try and turn head back towards the tower, secure it for now, wait for the zone to pop, and then they can go for the vault.
I like the play from them here. I think it's very, very calculated. They knew that there was going to be that fight just north of them. They loaded up, got a great loadout, to be fair.
Oh, yeah.
And then immediately pushed into Pablo Wingu and Bevies. But Pablo Wingu and Bevies seem to have already kind of pre-planned that. They understood that that was probably going to be the case. So they got a vehicle of their own and just dipped.
Whoa. And immediately moving back. Kind of a little bit of a switcheroo here. Traded drop spots. Malibuca, Thomas HC returning to their home and returning fire towards Bevies and Pablo Wingu, who are now just trying to go on a little bit of a joyride to avoid any sort of pressure being sent their way. Turning back towards the drop spot once again. A little bit of ring around the rosy for these two teams. As Bevies secures both those eliminations off spawn onto Paper and Yamzo. That's what we speculated would happen, though, as we move into these back half of games. Those surprise contestations on teams who strategy coming into the competition have not been working, so they have to change something.
What could they change, though, to be honest? I mean, a lot of these teams kind of need to ask this question, right? And it is, what can I change to turn this around in the second half of the competition? Because we are at the exact halfway mark of the entire competition, which means for these teams that haven't quite found success yet, there's still some time to go, because obviously the 25% increase today, another 25% increase coming tomorrow, means that the points will continue to shift in a way that will allow for big comebacks depending on how the top 10 and top 15 do. So you're never down and out of this one as this game continues on.
Acorn and Epic Whale hanging out still at Mega City. They'll move to the top of one of these buildings so they can look for some pop shots on teams scattered around. It seems to be the general consensus for most of the teams landing here at Mega City is loot up down below. Maybe you take a little bit of a close quarters battle, but then immediately you want to try and make your way towards the top of these buildings, because so many teams, if zone pulls away from you, are forced to rotate in the surrounding areas. So those might yield some free eliminations if you can position yourself properly. Just like this, we'll see Malibuca, Thomas HG finally connecting the shots and closing the distance. Bevies and Pablo Wingu taken out by Malibuca.
Wow. That is, I mean, honestly, this is the Malibuca I was expecting to see earlier in the competition. So good to see him turn the volume up here in the second half of the competition, and definitely having a much better day. Of course, remember, they still finished 9th coming into day number 2. So it's not like it was a poor performance, but of course, the expectations were high. When you win 2 back-to-back DreamHack Zero Build events in 2 separate metas, and you win convincingly, everybody's going to come into this competition thinking, yep, you know what, Malibu and Thomas HG, they're him.
They're him. I mean, that's what everyone really thought, right? 2 first-place finishes at 2 of the different DreamHack qualifiers. Everyone thought they were going to come in swinging and absolutely dominate the competition, but that just hasn't been the story so far. But of course, we still have a lot more to go. Pink and Anas finding Muzz. Bully looking to rotate away and stay in this one. The clutch factor is real here as they'll continue to try and hunt to find them. Pink just moving over these zip lines. It's kind of a scary area, a lot of untold angles here. As you can see, that 1v2 here with Malabuka taking out the player up top, and then you see it, Bevy's trying to close the distance with the shockwaves. You just can't beat the Flapjack at that kind of a range.
No, you cannot. I mean, even at a decent medium range, the Flapjack is
so good.
It's
so good.
Again, we talked about it day 1, actually the Middle East qualifiers, I should say, and we talked about how underrated the Flapjack is. I still feel that way. I don't feel like enough people are opting to use it, so we'll see if that changes here as the competition continues. But Clix and Duke staying alive here. This is a bit of a change. Remember, they've been dealing with a lot of off-spawn beef amongst other teams, and really not finding a ton of success throughout, but now Clix and Duke making their way into Mega City.
Whoa.
This is a good change, as they're just going to try to survive here in these moments.
I like it. This is where they thrive, right? These close quarters shotgun battles. This is where that standard BR experience can start to shine through a little bit, hit those shots when they really matter off the right-hand peaks. So we'll have to watch and see how things go. Japco finding elimination on the Draft Hell and the Confirm. Cammy, the teammate in Dexafite. So they're still in this one. Bloomer and Lardle, a very strong day so far. You've seen them with a couple of top 10 finishes on the competition here in day number 2. Refsguard and Ziandi, though. The story of these two has been, I don't want to say rocky, but I feel like a lot of people expect them to do a little bit better than they are so far.
Especially with the confidence they had coming into this. Again, I still think Ziandi and Refsguard are one of the teams that could win it all. Very much so. Like, despite where they're at in the leaderboard now, I still, it's too early to say, hey, Refsguard, Ziandi, you're out of this one, because they are just so extremely talented, especially when it comes to having to turn up the heat and get aggressive. They're some of the best fighters in the lobby right now. But they were in a tough spot there. You saw Quinivert launching on one side, Fluger and Opt on the other. Realistically, they could have went down there, but they opted to move away. And honestly, the reason they did so successfully is because Fluger and Opt were not really pressuring them. They weren't causing any kind of issues for them, so they're able to freely get away from this one. But now we switch our focus over to Lonely Labs, as Noah and Blaster have been landed here for this competition, so they haven't had to move far here as Zone 3 is presenting itself, but they're going to have to start moving soon.
You see a little look-see here on this far right side of the map near Slappy Shores. A couple of teams spread out, Noah being one of them. Blaster, Cammy, and Japco still atop this leaderboard, holding things down strong. Epicwell and Acorn, same situation here. Figuratively above these players, but Vanyak and Carmi sneaking in, trying to grab a little bit of this refresh. Bloomer now is a solo, flipping around, trying to get an idea of the landscape, what's going on in the surrounding area. Vanyak and Carmi, hand in hand though, not trying to get caught out. Because it comes to zero build, if you are alone, that's how you can really send your game down in a bad direction if you find yourself as a solo, just like Bloomer is here. Granted, if anybody is going to be able to make something happen, Bloomer definitely up there on that list.
I agree, and speaking with him, it's so funny. His ideology about this tournament has been interesting. Obviously, he was not one of the originally qualified or invited players. He actually competed in the Middle East qualifiers just the day before day 1 here in the 3-day competition. And so he ended up qualifying through that spot. And that was a huge win for him. Now he's here in day number 2. and he's going to have to continue that success, and hopefully him and his teammate will be able to do just that as they continue to find some things to work out in their favor. But Fluger and Opt potentially running into Gentle and Dark yet again. That would be a tough fight. We saw them actually first and second place in the last game, and could see that fight into a little bit earlier than last time.
Looking to possibly try and seek some revenge, but Gentle and S-Dark, Opt and Fluger, seeming like more than anything, Opt may opt to opt out, you could say. A little bit of a tongue twister there, but I mean, this duo looking solid for the time being. You know, they have some rifts, some temple rifts close by. They're very familiar with this kind of an area. Same as Hero and Fahad, who have had some bright showings in the competition, looking to try and make some bigger ones. Here in the back half, Reciprocal and Casker receiving end of some of that pressure. Again, they have these same temple rifts so they can hang out in zone for as long as possible before rotating in late.
You know, listen, this competition is heating up, but so many competitions heating up here at Gamers8. Remember, there's multiple things going on here throughout these competitions. Tekken also happening simultaneously on the Versus stage. I feel like I can hear their energy from here. It is so electrifying over on the stage. Make sure to go check that stuff out as well. It's Gamers8 GG Versus. But now we focus back in on the competition at hand as Dark and Gentle are starting to heat up, getting potentially one knock onto a player. No, it does not look like they were able to convert on that as Fahad and Hero coming up behind. Gentle preparing for this team to come over the ridge. But Mu and Tax here also waiting. Lots of teams here on this side of Storm, and this could be a problem. Remember, as soon as one starts shooting, everyone's starting to look in that direction.
And pressure is on for Mu and Tax as they have changed things up here as we go into day number 2, and really paid off for them as they're sitting just outside the top 10. Again, they'll need to consider any extra changes, but so far it seems they have at least upped the aggression coming out from them, picking up more eliminations as the competition goes on. Creaky Compound, the edge POI where most of the action is going to be taking place here as teams rotate through. Gentle, again, doing so well in this competition. Top of the leaderboard on the day. No surprise, they're racking up over 1,000 points in day 2 alone in just the first 3 games.
I mean, honestly, this is, I keep saying this, but it really is the best comparison. It is what we saw with Cammy and Japko on day 1. Lots of early success there in the first half. It's just a matter if they can keep that going, but teams like Anas and Pink losing Pink early could be tough here for the Gamers8 2022 champion duo. We'll have to wait and see how Anas can fare. But Fluger and Opt now making their way into the racetrack. Definitely one of the top spots, of course, if you didn't know. Malibu Thomas HD, this is their home and native land. We see them probably looted just about as fast, if not faster, than anybody else on the map. So it's always impressive to see them do their thing. But Epic Well and Acorn, another team that we have to continue to watch closely. Remember, they won a game in day 1. They won a game in day 2. They found a lot of success. They even find themselves, I believe, in the top 5 going into what is the current standings as of right now. So these teams doing very good. And one of the things, of course, that can end it all for some of these players is Gentle going down. Wait a minute. That Cybertron cannon is just something else. You do not want to be on the receiving end of that.
A little bit of a third-party mix-up as well. Mu being kind of stuck between the two, but Vert and Quinn now moving over. They found one of those knocks. They're looking to try and clean things up as it'll be a 2v1 with another third team trying to get a piece of the action. All of them rotating by way of Brutal Bastion. They have those natural launch pads over there. So, again, mobility being the name of the game here as Quinn and Vert find themselves in a sticky situation. Vert with 2 eliminations. Quinn looking for the res, but deciding, you know what, I just want to try and keep us up in this game. We'll look for it later, so I'm going to shockwave away. So many in inventory and the ability to move back towards Brutal Bastion. So tons of loot, I'm sure, left behind.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up taking, what they end up leaving. But I mean, look, you can't take everything, so you're just gonna have to leave some stuff that could otherwise be useful. But no, Dejan not only gonna leave some stuff behind, gonna leave everything behind, as he's been sent back to the lobby by Blaster and Noah. Again, this team has not had to move too much, which of course with this zone pulling north as it is definitely playing to their advantage.
And Accept and Dubs, a lot of utility in their inventories, trying to hold this team. And Blaster and Noah, the flare guns are coming out. They're located inside the log house, so we'll catch a blaze as they'll hop into the vehicle and try and rotate in. Zemi and Intence, same idea. They're in the truck, though, as Storm Surge will present itself. Accept and Dubs below, in fact, in damage. Still only 36 teams in this game, not really dropping very quickly with 67 players in it. Zemi and Pen finding those tags needed to stay in this one, but Bad Sniper and X-Squeeze. So much pressure being applied. Kanata and Agers doing the damage here, taking down Bad Sniper. The look possibly a confirm. Maybe they try and reposition themselves. They know there's one player still left. As Bad Sniper drops the heals to the teammate, and they're not going to try and close this distance. And I'm going to be honest with you, Panda. This is Kanata and Agers. It's kind of out of character for them.
This is quite out of character for sure, but of course, you remember, what we're used to seeing out of Kanata and Agers is an aggressive play when they get an advantage in standard BR.
This is true.
Zero build is a different world, and sometimes if they're not fully comfortable in it, they might not take the same risks that they would take in the standard BR. So props to them for being calculated in that moment, but calculations are just going awry here as Pump, Trashy, Quanti, Tripper, and two other players all fighting towards the south side of Slappy Shores. And honestly, I have no clue who's about to win this.
They literally a switcheroo there. Pump tried to close the distance. Quanti hopping right back into the vehicle and deciding, it's time to rotate. We're just going to move, try and get outside this building, then back up towards the top of it using soaring sprints. So we'll be back with Tripper. They're hanging out on the roof of the Slappy Shores south side building. As zone is just inches away, it feels like, but they know there's a team below them. They'll hear them stomping around just beneath. Want to make sure that they don't get caught out or give them the opportunity to take the high ground from them. Adrian and Kanata holding this edge of zone, seeming like they were able to find the confirm on the possibly Bad Sniper, whatever it might be. They found a body and a refresh of utility and heals those legendary slurp juices. Bully getting Muzz back into this one.
Interestingly enough, this team is set up for success here against it. There it is.
Wow.
A car doesn't matter when it's weak, as Muzz and Bully cleaning this one up quick, and that, wow. That's going to be Fahad going down.
So powerful.
Does look like Hero might be able to slip away and just survive here for a moment more, but with the storm closing in, there's definitely going to be a lot of damage coming their way as Bully and Muzz now going to heal up and try to make their way in. You already know Muzz leading the charge here on the motorcycle. I heard he is one of the better drivers when it comes to this little motorcycle scooter operation. So respect to him making his way in. And now though, the focus is on. Fights taking place. Arrow waiting for the right time to strike and diving in. Big shot onto Reason. Amar though still up as well. Arrow gonna lose his teammate, and Arrow gonna go down too. Amar and Reason gonna clean that one up.
Takes the fight to the end and are punished for it here as the pressure is on for this team down on the outside of Mega City, but we'll have to watch the dead side. Flip our attention over to the opposite end where Mr. Savage and Vidil on the low ground at the bottom of the bunker. Holding down here, Agers Kanata, same situation in a great spot in this next zone as it will continue to pull. A lot of elevation changes in this zone. So it's going to be important that you hold on to these bunkers for as long as possible. Acorn Epic Whale finding that confirm. Amar and Rizan exiting this lobby. Acorn and Epic Whale finding the loot.
Good pick up there for them, as they're going to go ahead and try to make something happen. It's Fluger and Walks actually. Looks like they're fighting each other. Opt has gone down here, and does look like the full elimination may come through here for Agers, but Fluger is going to find that elim onto Walks. That's going to be huge, and the full elimination is going to come through Mixon, but he needs to survive as a solo, and unfortunately it's not going to happen as Fluger goes down there in the feed. Malibu Thomas HD still alive in this one, so this could be the turnaround game they needed. 4 eliminations, and they're not slowing down. They're taking out clicks, but players from behind now causing some pressure, causing a bit of a disruption as Malibu thought he was safe, but no longer is.
This is the Malibuca Thomas HD I feel like we expected coming into this. They're positioned appropriately to try and make a run for the VR here to give themselves some winning condition. They have the utility as well. Have to keep watching them. Cammy and Japko. No surprise here to find them with 7 eliminations and a vehicle still at this point in the game and some shockwaves, so still moving, grooving. Vidil, Mr. Savage. Lots of duos left. Not many solos in this one as Acorn, Epic Whale finding another low HP. The bunker will go out. Great timing. Immediate, no hesitation from this team as it will look to try and pop some heals. The med mist immediately out into hand to spray themselves. Carmi, Vaniac, one is down. Acorn looking to try and identify the body, maybe find a refresh. Spots out the team just below though. Not even gonna look at the loot. It's not gonna be worth.
Yeah, it's not going to be worth it in that situation, but nevertheless, we do have Epic Whale and Acorn still in this one, which looked a little risky there for a moment, but Cammy and Japko, while they're alive here, they need to stay alive for a little bit longer. That huge lead they had on the day is starting to dwindle away as Dark and his teammate Gentle have just continued to dominate in a big way.
8 eliminations here. Japko, Cammy. Japko still won the MVP on day number 1 for the fact that he could pick up these high number of eliminations consistently and still holding that true here in day number 2 as reciprocal. Casker low. Looking to pre-pop this slurp juice before taking the fight. Malibuca spotting out Epic Whale and Acorn on the low ground. 2 HP. Shockwaves are out. Malibuca trying to weave through here. Finds the knock on the Epic Whale in the moment to pop the med mist. So close to the edge of zone. Not going to blink for a moment though, as they continue to put pressure on. Japko finding another 2 players. 10 eliminations already as we're just into the top 10. 6 teams left, 11 players remain. Reciprocal taking a lot of damage here. Quanti trying to trade the shotgun shot, but goes down.
And here it is, the final moments of this game, and it is all for them as Japko and Cammy making the biggest plays here on day number 2, and it is coming down to this. Vidil, Mr. Savage have the height advantage. Can they continue to control the players down below as everyone just trying to reconvene and collect their thoughts? But Carmi, of course, hanging out in the car, kind of living up to his name there a little bit, Ben.
Making it worthwhile too. Nema knocked, not really interested in trying to make something happen here as Carmi will hang out. Cal Gamer solo low ground on the far side trying to swim their way to victory, but sent back to the lobby. Vidil, Mr. Savage in a great spot. Line of sight cover, no need to invest utility. Japko and Cammy on the low ground. I think it's somehow make a play here to try and close the distance. I'd be very surprised as Vidil and Mr. Savage are geared up here to make something happen and close out the game. They just need to hold on to it. Preserve as much of these AR ammunition as possible. Carmi's still in this game. Deep in zone, trying to use any bit of med mist or chug cannon charges left, but here it is. Here's the move. Vidil and Mr. Savage. Now the fight being brought to them. Japko not able to do it this time, so Cammy has to pick up the slack, but no, Mr. Savage and Vidil deny it. It's another player falls in zone, so there it is. Mr. Savage, Vidil, the victory royale.
The excitement coming from this duo is insane. You love to see the win here for Mr. Savage and Vidil, and what was a picture-perfect finish, right, for this duo. They held the high ground, they kept the players at bay, and of course walked away with the sweet, sweet victory royale here in match number 4 on the day. Great finish there for the team, but we got to talk about it. Cammy and Japko there, 11 plus eliminations.
Crazy.
It's going to be pretty significant on the leaderboard.
I mean, still, Savage able to pull out the VR, of course, but Cammy, Japko